Hi, welcome back, or welcome if you're new.
This is Chloe.
I have just arrived in Tudor, London, 1536.
She's an LA influencer time traveling through history.
No.
And even though that's impossible, millions of people who've seen her have the same question. Is she a real person?
So I'm here at ancient Rome's version of grabbing lunch on the go.
The answer is no. She's completely AI, and she's actually this guy. Jonathan had zero formal training as a filmmaker, but now he's quit his job to focus full-time on his Chloe vs. History YouTube channel.
You've got to see this market, guys. Look at the detail on this pottery.
A lot of people who've seen Chloe said things like this.
They haven't ever watched an AI video from start to finish. They don't realize, they've said, I've just watched this from start to finish, that's crazy.
The crowd is, this boy's having the best day of his life.
So is she the future of AI influencers? And what does that mean for storytelling on the YouTube platform?
What I've been doing over the last 3 years is really just experimenting with AI and using it trying to use it in a positive way, always under the umbrella of history. I started out doing Greek mythology stuff because no one had ever done that before. And that did really well. I then fast forward a few months and I'm doing sort of 30-minute documentaries about entire histories of cities using AI to reconstruct the primary sources that we have available to us.
But your background isn't necessarily in filmmaking.
No, 100% not. No, so I'm just a customer service guy with a creative edge that was never tapped into until a few years ago. And I think that should be quite refreshing to people, that anyone can do this stuff.
When did you realize that Chloe was going to be far more popular than the previous AI projects that you had created up until that point?
Very, very quickly. So the first post, it got 4 million views on Instagram. I was like, okay, so post a few more. And I just did like the greatest hits of history, really. You know, all the stuff that I know is popular in history. I didn't even need to think about it too much. I was like, that's the next one. And every single one was getting, 5 million views or whatever. And I was like, I've landed on something here. And I just needed to take it, I just needed to go all in. I was like, I need to do once a day, keep the momentum going, and who knows where this could go. And it was at one point, I was refreshing it. After 1 minute, it was 1,000 new followers, and then 1,000 new followers. And I was like, that is the most, I don't know how I could outdo that now. I'd be very hard pressed to outdo that.
Are you, brave enough to ballpark how much money you think you've made from Chloe so far?
It's been way more than a full-time salary in a year. It's when Chloe was first uploading on Instagram, I was pretty much earning nothing from it because Instagram don't pay for views or anything. TikTok, they didn't allow me to join the Creator Rewards program for some reason. I don't know. It wasn't until the long forms that I was making on YouTube. And it wasn't until those that the shorts started taking off. YouTube wasn't really paying much attention to the to the shorts on their own. So it wasn't much.
Well, that's good for you. So that's interesting. So you're saying that it wasn't until you made the long form YouTube videos that the whole operation started to monetize.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people go into this with they want to do the YouTube shorts because it's quick dopamine, and they think it's quick money, but it's totally not. YouTube actually is quite a harsh algorithm. You need to really cut through. And I don't know how. If I knew how, then we'd all be millionaires.
Did you want to remain anonymous as the person behind Chloe initially?
Initially, I did, yeah, admittedly so, because I needed to contain the mystique of it in a way, because part of the reason that it did so well was that everyone was engaging in the comments, like, is she real? Is she not? And you just needed to let that noise happen for a while. I didn't want to prolong it so much. I didn't want people to reveal it or find it out. I'd rather just come out with it, elect myself to do that, because I thought in the end that's the right way to do it.
I think the fact that you kind of are Chloe is it is a big reveal,
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm very far removed from Chloe herself, I don't look or sound anything like Chloe. This is all just my imagination, much like a director will cast the right person for their movie, I'm the director in this. I'm the architect.
Did you try other kind of characters? Why was Chloe created the way that she was?
So I didn't have like a particular appearance in mind going into it. I was using, at the time, I was using a third-party software that could create AI influencers. And you could select all the features that you want, like the hairstyle, the color, the eye color, eyes, all of that. It only took me about between 5 and 10 generations of a character. And I was like, no. And then I landed on her. I was like, oh, she looks kind of cool. Let's go with her and let's see what happens.
Has this become your full-time thing now?
Yeah. This is the sort of thing that you really need to give your 100% focus on. You need to get in the flow state. And if you've got too many things in the background, too many things that you're responsible for, it just can't work. So yeah, I've realized that I need a team behind me, and I found some really good people, talented people, and that I've realized is so crucial to running a business. I wanted to do it all alone, and a lot of business owners will probably say the same thing. They don't want to necessarily give away their techniques and how they do things, but I've realized that having a good team of people behind you is absolutely crucial.
One thing I've noticed in the last few months, since Chloe came out, is that there's an infinite number of copycats already that are probably even just using your videos to prompt their own characters. How do you feel about that? And then also, are you wanting to go after those people like with takedown notices or something like that?
Yeah, so there's kind of two categories of copycats. There's the direct copycats who are literally scraping my scripts and just reproducing the same video with a slightly different character. So it's not Chloe, but it's very, she looks very similar to Chloe. And it's like, at that point, I'm just like, come on. But there are channels equally as well that I would say as well that have just taken the idea of history meets AI influencer and done their own stuff, like entirely organic stuff. I've basically started a trend, and that's just the nature of the beast. I've got to assume that if I'm going to take all of that success, there will be people that try and recreate it. But the thing I would say to those people is that they always say don't reinvent the wheel. Well, actually, I've always done the best when I have reinvented the wheel. So, because a lot of people will say, so a lot of these YouTube gurus will say, just take an already proven concept.
Yeah, and change it like 10 or 20% and you've got something.
Yeah, and I would actually kind of push back on that, because all of the stuff that I've created over the past, it's always just been me experimenting with stuff and seeing what sticks. And some of it doesn't do well, and others like absolutely flies. And I just think that's more worth your time. Chloe exists because I created her from scratch, and it's a new concept. So you sometimes just have to take those risks, go hard or go home, as they say.
Yeah. They're trying to figure out on these platforms how to label things as AI slop that, would lead to demonetization and other things. How has Chloe risen above that kind of gatekeeping that's starting to happen on these platforms right now?
So you've seen it all over YouTube that good quality AI channels have been taken down because of inauthentic content or whatever. And that's a real shame, because they're just trying to get rid of this, the 80 to 90% of it is AI slop, unfortunately. But there are good creators that are just feeling that effect as well, and they're getting taken down as well. So yeah, I mean, that's YouTube's own decision. And I don't know why Chloe has circumnavigated that. Maybe because it does under inauthentic content, it says it's mass produced. That's part of the reason, and it's far from it. To produce a Chloe video, it is a very intricate process. It takes me weeks to create a single video. The more time you spend on a video and the more love you put into it, I think the less the risk you have. And I know that sounds really cliche, but the more you can differentiate yourself, the more unique you are, and how different you are in every video should help reduce that risk.
Give me a sense of who's watching. What does the audience for this look like?
So it's usually between 18 to 35. It's a real mix, actually. So I do get some historians and they comment on the video and they note the inaccuracies, which I'm thankful for because I'm always open to knowing that. But I also get, a lot of Gen Z and younger people that like watching vloggers and influencers, and I get a lot of people interested in history as well. So it's a real mix of people, and it's actually more mass, like a mass audience than I thought. I thought this would be fairly niche, but it turns out a lot of people love history, and that's what I want to say is that younger people, they love history, but at the moment it's taught via a textbook and a few videos or a few films, and it's like, oh man, that's such a missed opportunity because history is so visual and it's just not taught in a visual way.
Are you training Chloe's videos on, actual woodcuts, actual sculptures, things that, have historical accuracy?
Some of it is, some of it isn't. So it all depends on the context. So for example, Pompeii, there's very little because it's so long ago. We're going off, reconstructions and they have to be in the public domain. So yeah, some of it is, some of it isn't. And I want to increase the amount of stuff that is based on real stuff. So whenever there is real sources that are in the public domain, then I'll use them. And I want to tell people that I do really care about accuracy and getting this right. And I know I've made a few mistakes. I'm more than happy to admit that. But the AI is trained on modern data. So right. I'm constantly fighting against the AI trying to make it modern. And there are certain things that have appeared that shouldn't. And there's certain anachronistic things that have happened. And it's like, I'm trying to control this as much as I can. And I want the audience to know that I'm trying to get better with that. And I'm actively working and investing to get better.
Let's talk a little bit about the process. Just in broad strokes, what are the steps to go from idea in, Jonathan's brain to a long form Chloe video?
I'll have a master prompt in the background, which will contain all the stuff that I want to keep consistent in every video. So I know that in every video, I want to keep her arm outstretched. She's a vlogger, and there's certain prompts that we can use, the same text to keep that consistency of the images. So I will have this document that I'll pump into Claude, and then I'll just tell Claude, this is the topic that I want to do today, and it will guide me through that. And so I've kind of set it up myself in a way that is interactive, and then it will give me a script ultimately, and like a scene breakdown, like a storyboard sort of thing. And with the long forms, I found that I actually wander off from the script a lot. The script that it produces on Claude is sometimes it can be cringe, it can overdo things, it can just be totally not sensitive enough to certain things. So I have to use a lot of my own directorship with it. And certainly with the Titanic stuff, half of that was like my own creative stuff. And that's the thing, like if you rely on AI too much, you're going to get results that look and feel like AI, and the audience will feel that. The audience nowadays have consumed an awful lot of AI content, and we just know when we're watching an AI script or we're getting used to the language now and how AI talks, and it talks with, like, oh, it's not this, it's that sort of thing.
But then taking it from the script to the generations, I mean, there's got to be a few steps in between. What does that look like?
Yeah, so once I've got the script, it's then time to ask Claude, can you give me an image prompt for scene 1? And from taking information from that master prompt that I mentioned earlier, it will take into account what I said and then give me basically a perfect image prompt. And then I'll paste that into a new software called Utopia that will actually produce the images for me, which is powered by, Nano Banana Pro and ChatGPT 2.0 as well. So they've got an image model. And then I'll take those images. So I'll always need to create a start frame. That's how we can maintain the best control, with turning those into moving pictures. And then it's a case of using that image as a reference, as a start frame, and again, using Claude to give me an image to video prompt this time. And that will contain all of the dialogue, how she's moving, what she's going to
So what's the main model you're using now?
Seedance 2.0.
Got it. Okay. And that does up to 15 seconds?
Up to 15 seconds at 1080p. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. And it also, like VO3, is giving you sound effects and dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah. And
How do you keep Chloe's voice the same?
I just use an audio reference. So I've got like a sample of her voice, upload that every time. And that's how it keeps the voice consistent. So, it's just a sample bit of text that she's saying, and then it will take the tone and the pitch of that voice, and I can get it to say anything that I want.
Wow. It's very expensive to generate this. So how much does a longer form Chloe video cost to make?
Hard to put into raw numbers because it does vary. So it varies depending on how difficult the topic is. If the topic's really difficult to get right and it has to be rerun all the time, like it's like up to 5 takes, essentially. It is like a real studio,
Right.
But, it's like, I don't know which one is best, controlling humans or controlling the AI. Like, they're both going to screw up. So it's definitely multiple hundreds, like it's hard, like 300-400, but it can even go up to 800. It depends who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to a new AI hobbyist and they're like £300 for one video, that's crazy high. And then if I'm talking to like an A-list director, they're like, dude, I want to be in, I want to be in your boat.
I also think that's probably where the biggest awareness came, because, anything that is a sustained 20, some of these films are 15, 20 minutes of just pure generation sustaining attention on YouTube. That's remarkable. I mean, that I don't see a lot of that.
No. And a lot of people will tell you that they haven't ever watched an AI video from start to finish.
Right.
They don't realize, they've said, I've just watched this from start to finish. That's crazy. So
there is a world where Chloe doesn't have to go back in time. She could go anywhere. She could do a brand deal. She could do a sponsorship. She could do a commercial. Is that something that's on the table?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. So I've already received lots of opportunities, but I've been very careful to work with the right person, and I am now. So that's kind of sorted for Chloe for a while.
What kinds of, if as much as you could say, what kind of a product or brand do you think somebody like Chloe makes sense to represent?
I can imagine her doing, like, when you trace your family history, I think that's a good one. Anything with AI obviously is a natural fit. Sure. Anything in history is a natural fit, but also in education in general. Chloe is like where education meets entertainment. And so a lot of people say they've learned things from Chloe, so they're open to being educated. And I'd like to associate myself with a positive, forward-thinking company.
Because I feel like if Chloe was a real TikTok influencer, the first call she would get would be for some kind of cosmetic products or some fitness tracker or something like that.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. We'll have to see. Who knows? But yeah, I do have to think about her like she's a normal person, like a real person, because the audiences will overlap. But yeah, the possibilities are quite endless with that.
I also find it interesting that you've chosen this route of history, because a lot of people who are doing what you're doing have used their imagination to create very detailed fantasy worlds that come from their own imagination. I'm thinking about like Gossip Goblin, but you've chosen to go with, historical things that you're trying as much as you can to be accurate.
Yeah, and the history is my vein. This is just something I adore and I love myself. And all I did was learn it in my kitchen for half a year and just try and apply it and just create some channels, just have fun with it. Now is the best time, because you can really, whatever's in your mind and imagination, you can put that onto screen now if it's prompted in the right way. The tools are there. 3 years ago they weren't. But now anything is possible.
Where does Chloe go from here? What are your plans? What's next in like the next 6 to 12 months?
I've got a few tricks up my sleeve. Like, Chloe's always going to be in history, but there are so many different ideas I have for that and what she can do with that idea. So you'll have to watch this space. But essentially, I really want to grow the YouTube channel, and I want to go into different mediums. And
Yeah.
and actually also as well is can we take it one step further and create an immersive experience with Chloe? I know it sounds a bit weird, but what the possibilities are endless, and you know, the technology is almost there to sort of interact with her. And I think there might be some opportunity there to actually, you know, do like an interactive walkthrough with Chloe, and she's interacting, and we as viewers or users of it get to control what she does. So yeah, I've got loads of bubbling ideas.
Do you think that Chloe will ever break character and admit that she's an AI, or does the illusion have to hold up, you know, for her to make sense?
Oh well, nothing, you know, that potentially could happen. I'm prompting one day, and she'll say, "No, I'm not going to do that. I refuse." And that's the point where we worry. So yeah, potentially, but at the moment, I can have her do, you know, any historical situation that I think is suitable for her.
I've been in this business about 20 years, making, you know, I guess what you would call now nonfiction infotainment sort of things. And you're already surpassing some of the stuff that we make with real people without a background in that kind of storytelling. You know, do you think someone like me should be threatened by the rise of a Chloe?
No, not at all, because all I've done is taken a good idea that I had myself and apply it. And it's not possible without AI, you have to remember. Like, I can't time travel. No one can time travel. So what's the alternative? Well, we can use AI to recreate it. And there's nothing stopping anyone from doing, you know, taking that idea and actually wanting to learn this stuff. AI, like I said at the start, it's not a big barrier to entry. I'm confident that anyone can do this. So if you really want to do something like that, you can if you want. So I like to think that I'm adding to the pie, not taking away from it.
Awesome. Well, is there anything before we go that, you know, we didn't cover that you think people should know about either your work, Chloe, AI filmmaking in general, you know, whether it, or maybe even like addressing shade that people have thrown your way since you came up with this idea?
Yeah, I mean, I do get a lot of hate, and that's totally fair enough. My goal with this is to get younger people more engaged with history. And history is such a compelling topic, and I think it's really important that we all understand our history and how we got here. So AI is a great way to do that. And there are certain right ways to use AI and certain wrong ways to use AI. And I'm trying to, you know, push the needle forward in the right direction with it and just show, look, this is what we can do. I'm trying to make it as accurate as we possibly can, and use, you know, all the sources we can. And I'm trying to grow the team. I'm taking this really seriously. This is not just something that I'm just throwing up in a few minutes every day. And like, I'm just
right. Jonathan, this has been great. I really thank you for doing this.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.